July 6, 1942, 0:37 hours. Bay of Biscay, off the northern coast of Spain. The Atlantic is black tonight, flat, oily, and endless. No moon, no horizon, just darkness pressed against darkness. At 800 feet above the water, a twin-engine aircraft claws forward through damp air, its engines throttled low, the sound swallowed by the sea below. Inside the fuselage, red lights glow faintly over instruments and faces. Sweat mixes with cold. No one speaks. You can almost hear the crew breathing. Then, movement. A darker shadow slides across the water, barely visible even to trained eyes. Long, narrow. A shape that does not belong to the sea. A German U-boat. She is surfaced, as doctrine demands. Batteries charging. Diesel engines running. Her captain believes he is safe. He always is at night. For 3 years now, the darkness has belonged to him. The British aircraft does not turn away. It closes in. At 600 feet, the observer leans forward, eyes burning. The radar contact is gone now, too close, too low. From this point on, it's instinct. The U-boat crew senses nothing. No sirens, no flares, no warning. Then the ocean explodes into white light. A beam, brighter than day, slams down from the aircraft's belly, pinning the submarine in sudden, impossible clarity. Every rivet, every deck gun, men frozen mid-motion, faces turned upward in disbelief. For one stunned heartbeat, the hunters and the hunted stare at each other. Then the attack begins. For Admiral Karl Donitz, commander of Germany's U-boat arm, this moment is unthinkable. Night is supposed to mean safety. Since 1939, German submarines have ruled the Atlantic after sunset. Surfaced U-boats are faster than merchant ships, harder to detect than aircraft, and nearly invisible once darkness falls. British patrol planes are blind at night. Their searchlights give them away. Their bombs fall wide. The U-boat captains know the rules. Stay up at night. Submerge by day. Attack in packs. Vanish into the dark. It has worked, brutally well. Convoys burn. Sailors drown. Britain starves, slowly, one ship at a time. And now, in the Bay of Biscay, one submarine has just been caught doing exactly what German doctrine tells it to do. Surfaced. Exposed. Lit up like a stage. The white beam does not waver. The British pilot shoves the control column forward. The Wellington drops lower, engines roaring now, no point in silence anymore. The bomb aimer is already prone, hands tight on the release mechanism. Depth charges fall. For black shapes tumble into the water, skipping once, then disappearing beneath the surface. The U-boat captain orders full crash dive, but it's too late. The light never leaves him. The sea erupts in towering columns of water and steel. The submarine lurches violently. Men are thrown from their feet. Valves rupture. Lights go out. The ocean closes in. Within seconds, the U-boat is gone. Above, the aircraft roars past, the crew staring down at a widening slick of oil and debris. No cheers. No celebration. Just silence. They know what they've done, but they do not yet understand what they have broken. This attack is not supposed to be possible. The light, mounted beneath the aircraft, is a secret weapon. A desperate gamble born from frustration, ridicule, and quiet persistence. Its inventor is not a general or an admiral. He is an engineer. A civilian. A man named Humphrey de Verde Lee. For years, Lee has argued that aircraft don't need to find submarines in daylight. They just need to see them at the last moment. His idea is simple and radical, a powerful, downward-facing searchlight that stays off until the final seconds of an attack. No warning, no time to dive. The Royal Air Force laughed at him. Too bulky, they said. Too slow. Too dangerous. A beacon for enemy guns. But Coastal Command is losing the war over water. And in 1942, desperation opens doors that pride keeps shut. Lee's light is installed quietly, experimentally, on a handful of patrol aircraft operating over the Bay of Biscay, the U-boat's highway in and out of occupied France. Tonight, for the first time, it has worked exactly as intended. The U-boat never saw it coming. In Germany, reports will arrive slowly, fragmented, confusing. One submarine missing, then another damaged, then another gone without radio contact. At first, Donitz assumes bad luck, mechanical failure, a fluke encounter. But the pattern is wrong. The losses are happening at night. Surfaced boats. No distress calls. No time to react. Veteran commanders begin to whisper. something has changed. The darkness no longer protects them. And far above the Atlantic, RAF crews begin to realize something too. The ocean is no longer blind. They can hunt at night now. And once the night belongs to the Allies, the U-boat war will never be the same again. But Berlin has not yet grasped the danger, and the German response, when it comes, will be swift, brutal, and desperate. The next U-boat does not die in silence. July 13, 1942. 2:11 hours. Bay of Biscay. Oberleutnant zur See Hans-Jürgen Becker is standing on the conning tower when the light hits. One moment, the sea is empty, black, featureless, familiar. The next, the night is torn open. A white sun blooms overhead, so bright it feels physical, like a blow to the eyes. Becker raises an arm on instinct, shielding his face. Flugzeug, someone screams. But it makes no sense. There was no engine noise. No warning. Aircraft do not appear out of nothing. The beam locks onto the U-boat with surgical precision. Becker can see everything now, his own deck gun crew frozen in shock, water streaming off the casing, the aircraft silhouette screaming downward out of the darkness. Alarm! Crash dive, he shouts. Too late. Depth charges hammer the sea around them. The first detonates close enough to punch the air out of Becker's lungs and throw him against the rail. The second is closer still. The submarine shudders violently, steel plates groaning like a wounded animal. They manage to dive, but only just. At 60 meters, lights flicker back on. Men cough. One is bleeding from the head. A gauge needle trembles where it shouldn't. The boat is alive. Barely. When Becker reports in days later, his voice shakes despite his efforts to sound composed. He describes the light. Not a flare. Not a star shell. Not a search pattern. A beam. Sudden. Blinding. Perfectly timed. Donitz listens in silence. By mid-July, the BDU headquarters wall map tells its own story. Red pins mark lost submarines. Yellow pins mark damaged ones. Too many cluster in the same waters. Too many vanish at night. This is not coincidence. Donitz calls his staff together. Meteorologists, engineers, veteran skippers. He demands answers. Radar? Possibly, but radar should give warning. These crews report none. New bombs? Maybe, but bombs don't explain the light. Then one damaged U-boat provides the missing detail. The crew describes an aircraft that appeared only after the light switched on. The realization lands heavily in the room. The enemy can see at night. For the first time since the war began, Donitz feels something unfamiliar tightening in his chest. Uncertainty. Across the channel, RAF Coastal Command is feeling something very different. Confidence. For the first time, patrol reports do not read like apologies. They read like victories. Crews speak of surprise, of submarines caught helpless on the surface, of attacks delivered so quickly that deck guns never fire a shot. The Lee Light, still officially experimental, is spreading quietly through squadrons. Installations are rushed. Crews are trained in secrecy. The rules are drilled relentlessly. Do not turn it on early. Do not hesitate. Do not give them time. At night, aircraft now stalk their prey at low altitude, radar operators guiding pilots in with calm voices while the ocean remains blind below. At 500 yards, 300, 200, light on, and suddenly the hunter and hunted switch places. The psychological effect is immediate. U-boat captains, once relaxed after sunset, now feel exposed. Surfacing becomes tense. Lookouts scan the sky obsessively. Men sleep in fragments. Every distant engine note feels closer than it should. Some commanders begin diving at night, against doctrine, against orders. It costs them speed. It costs them battery life. But it feels safer. Others do not adapt in time. In August alone, U-boat losses in the Bay of Biscay climb sharply. The numbers are not catastrophic, but they are new. Losses without warning. Losses without fights. Each one sends a message. The night is no longer German territory. Berlin reacts the only way it knows how. With orders. New directives go out to U-boat commanders. Stay submerged during daylight and at night in high-risk areas. Travel faster. Travel deeper. Travel armed. Anti-aircraft guns are upgraded. Extra flak is mounted to the conning towers. Crews are instructed to fight it out on the surface rather than dive immediately. Aircraft, Donitz believes, are vulnerable if forced into a gun battle. It is a dangerous gamble. And in the coming weeks, it will cost lives, on both sides. Because the British are not done adapting. They are learning, faster than anyone in Berlin realizes. And soon, the Bay of Biscay will turn into a killing ground where light, steel, and courage collide at point-blank range. The U-boats will fight back, but the very tactic meant to save them will expose a fatal weakness. September 1, 1942. 1:48 hours. Western approaches of the Bay of Biscay. The U-boat is ready this time. Extra flak guns bristle along the conning tower, 20mm and 37mm barrels angled skyward, crew standing by with fingers tight on triggers. Orders from Berlin are clear: do not dive immediately. Force the aircraft to break off. Kill the hunter. Captain Lieutenant Friedrich Keller believes in the plan. He has to. When the radar warning comes, faint and uncertain, he orders speed increased. The diesels thunder. Men take positions. The deck is alive with motion. Then the light hits. For a split second, Keller feels anger. Hot, sharp, almost welcome. So this is the trick. This is how they've been doing it. Fire, he roars. The night erupts in orange flashes. Tracers claw upward. The air vibrates with gunfire. For once, the submarine is not helpless prey. It is a fortress of steel and flame. The British pilot sees the muzzle flashes instantly, and does not pull away. He dives. This is where the war changes. RAF crews have learned the timing. They know now that hesitation kills. Aircraft come in low, absurdly low, skimming the waves at mast height. Gunners fire blindly upward, tracers streaking overhead, but the aircraft is already beneath their arc. The lee light snaps on at the last possible moment, blinding the gunners, bleaching the deck into white confusion. Depth charges tumble free. At this range, there is no escape. Keller's U-boat takes 2 direct hits. One depth charge detonates beneath the stern, ripping the pressure hull open. Water floods in like a living thing. The diesels scream, then die. The order to abandon ship is never given. The sea takes the submarine in less than a minute. Above, the aircraft staggers away, one engine coughing, holes punched through its wings. The crew is shaken, but alive. They have faced the flak, and they have won. Reports like this pour in on both sides. U-boats that fight back are dying faster. Aircraft that attack aggressively are surviving more often. The math becomes undeniable. For the Germans, the surface is no longer safer than the depths. For the Allies, fear is replaced by muscle memory, radar contact, approach, light, release, break away. Repeat. The Bay of Biscay turns into a lethal corridor where every transit feels like Russian roulette. By early 1943, German losses spike dramatically. Veteran skippers, men with dozens of patrols behind them, are gone. Experience bleeds out of the fleet, replaced by younger, less seasoned crews. Dönitz pushes back against reality. He argues. He demands countermeasures. He orders more guns, more armor, more discipline. But the problem is not bravery. It is physics. Light travels faster than fear. The Allies, meanwhile, are stacking advantages. Long-range liberators close the air gap that once allowed U-boats to slip through unobserved. Radar improves. Sonobuoys whisper from the depths. Escort carriers push air cover deeper into the Atlantic. And at the center of it all is the quiet revolution that started with one idea. Do not search the darkness. Erase it. The lee light spreads across coastal command and beyond. American aircraft adopt it. Tactics are standardized. Training films circulate. Night becomes just another shift. For the U-boats, there is no reset. The old rules are dead. In May 1943, the breaking point arrives. In a single month, Germany loses over 40 submarines, an unsustainable hemorrhage. Convoys once ravaged now pass with minimal losses. For the first time, merchant tonnage sunk fails to offset Allied shipbuilding. Dönitz is forced to do the unthinkable. He orders the U-boats withdrawn from the North Atlantic. The decision is framed as temporary. A pause. A regrouping. But everyone in the room knows the truth. The war beneath the waves has been lost. And it began, not with a massive fleet, or a grand battle, but with a beam of light in the middle of the night. Yet the irony remains. The lee light did not kill the U-boat arm alone. It exposed it. It forced the enemy to react. And in reacting, Germany revealed how fragile its dominance had always been. One night hunt changed the balance. And once the balance tipped, it never tipped back. But for the men who flew those night missions, low, alone, and exposed, the victory came at a terrifying cost. February 18, 1943. 3:06 hours. North Atlantic, west of Ireland. The Liberator is already damaged. One engine is feathered, propeller locked in place, the aircraft limping through freezing air on 3 engines instead of 4. Inside, the temperature is well below zero. Frost creeps along the metal skin of the fuselage. Breath hangs in the air. They should have turned back. But there's a contact. Radar returns flicker on the scope, weak, intermittent, but unmistakable. A surfaced submarine, running on borrowed time. The pilot glances back at his crew. No words are exchanged. The decision is silent, shared. They go in. Night anti-submarine warfare is not clean. It is not heroic in the way newspapers imagine. It is hours of nothing, punctuated by seconds of terror. At low altitude, aircraft are vulnerable. A single lucky burst of flak can tear a wing off. A moment's disorientation can send a bomber straight into the sea. Many crews never even see what kills them. The men know this. They fly anyway. As the Liberator descends, the radar operator counts the distance softly. The navigator grips his table. The rear gunner scans the black void behind them, knowing it won't matter. 200 yards. 100. The lee light snaps on. The U-boat explodes into view, and so do its guns. Tracer fire reaches out like claws. The aircraft shudders violently. A round punches through the nose. Another rips into the cockpit glazing, spraying shards of plexiglass. The pilot does not pull up. Depth charges fall. The explosion lifts the Liberator like a toy. Alarms scream. The damaged engine catches fire. The aircraft staggers away, barely under control, losing altitude with every second. Behind them, the sea is boiling. Oil spreads across the water. Debris floats briefly, then vanishes. The U-boat is gone. So is any illusion of safety. The pilot fights the controls, hands numb, vision tunneling. At 50 feet above the waves, the fire finally dies. The crew does not cheer. They are too busy surviving. Hours later, they land, hard, off-center, but alive. Many others will not. Coastal Command's casualty rates are brutal. In 1942 alone, more than 1,000 aircrew are lost. Aircraft vanish into the Atlantic without trace. Families receive telegrams with no details, no bodies, no graves. And yet, the missions continue. Because the math is cruel, and it is clear. Every U-boat sunk saves dozens, sometimes hundreds, of merchant sailors. Every night patrol shortens the war at sea. Every beam of light reduces the darkness the enemy can hide in. The men flying these missions understand that, even if the world rarely sees them. On the German side, the cost is just as severe. New U-boat crews arrive at bases in France to find empty pens and silent veterans. Training accelerates. Standards slip. Fear creeps in where confidence once lived. Night surfacing becomes a gamble. Every engine noise in the sky triggers a flinch. Some crews report seeing lights that aren't there, phantoms born of exhaustion. Morale erodes. By late 1943, U-boats are no longer predators. They are survivors, trying to slip through a net that tightens every month. And all of it traces back to that first realization. The night is no longer safe. The lee light itself is eventually surpassed. Better radar, infrared detection, coordinated hunter-killer groups. Technology keeps moving forward, relentless. But its legacy remains. It was the moment the Allies took control of time itself, turning darkness from a shield into a trap. A simple idea, executed at the perfect moment, shattered a strategy built over years. When the war ends, there are no parades for the night hunters. Their aircraft are scrapped. Their equipment is mothballed. Their stories fade into footnotes. But the Atlantic remembers. It remembers the nights when the sea turned white without warning. When submarines vanished in seconds. When men on both sides looked up into the darkness, knowing it could kill them at any moment. One night hunt did not just break Hitler's U-boat strategy. It taught the world a lesson that still holds true. Control the night, and you control the war.